did apparently leave behind an online manifesto in which he talked about the healthcare industry, the insurance industry. He also wrote on Goodreads, the book recommendation site, a review of the Unabomber's manifesto, and said that although people dismissed it, it actually contained some very good ideas. I mean, it's remarkable that this keeps on coming back as a sort of a blueprint for these mentally disturbed young people, but certainly he does appear to have been influenced by that. So that is something that the prosecution will be looking at very carefully. So it happened on December the 4th, on a Wednesday. The CEO of United Healthcare, he was due to attend the annual investors meeting at the Hilton Hotel in Midtown Manhattan, right in the center of town, close to Times Square, close to Central Park. And he was arriving at the hotel, and he was shot and killed by somebody who, it turned out, had been waiting for him. So the police very quickly said that it was a targeted assassination. They said it wasn't a random attack. And they set about trying to find the suspected killer, who fled on a bicycle into Central Park and was then not seen anymore.
And what do we know about the suspect? He is now in custody.
That's right, yes. So he was actually arrested on Monday morning. It's a remarkable story, really, Louis, because at times there was wild speculation that the gunman was a professional hitman. There was a lot of analysts saying, look at the fact that he was using a silencer. That's something that's very rare. That suggests a degree of professionalism. The fact that the bullets jammed and he was able to deal with the gun very easily, the fact that he was so calm, the fact that he didn't show his face much, that he was masked throughout the whole time, that all suggested a degree of professionalism. But then it turned out on Monday that he was caught at a McDonald's. He was sitting at a McDonald's in his local, in his town of Altoona, Pennsylvania, which is not far from where he lives. And he was spotted by an employee of McDonald's, who then called the police. And the police officer who arrested him in Pennsylvania had only been on the job for 6 months. So a sort of remarkable end to this bizarre and quite tragic story.
And how was it they were able to identify him from the footage they had in New York?
Yes, so while the gunman kept his face covered for most of the time, he did at one point pull his face mask down, and that was caught on camera. So that enabled the police to widely circulate this image, and it really was everywhere. His photo was everywhere, so it was on all of the New York, on all of the New York newspapers. It was on most newspapers. It was on all the TV news networks. So that's why the person working at McDonald's was able to say, hey, I think that's that guy.
And what do we know about the suspect himself? Do we know anything about his motives, and who was he?
So he's a 27-year-old, Luigi Mangione. He is from Pennsylvania, from the Baltimore area. Grew up just outside of Baltimore in Maryland. Arrested in Pennsylvania. He's from a very wealthy and well-known family. The family have expressed their shock. One of their cousins is a state senator in Maryland. The family had lots of business interests in nursing and healthcare, made a lot of money in that. And he was actually Ivy League educated. He went to the University of Pennsylvania, a very prestigious university here in the United States. He had a graduate degree in computer science. He was somebody who seemed to have everything going for him. But what we do know is that he reportedly had back problems. He had a spinal condition that required surgery. And from what we're beginning to understand, that is what really got him obsessed with health insurance and the healthcare industry, which is why he targeted, we think, the CEO.
And what will happen from now? Presumably, has he been charged yet? And what sort of charges will he be facing?
So on Monday night, he was actually charged with the murder of Brian Thompson. He had been initially charged with firearms offences because he was found with this illegally obtained gun in his possession and fake ID. Interestingly, the gun was what's known as a ghost gun. So that's a real increasing problem in the United States. It was 3D printed. And that's something that the authorities have been warning for a long time is beginning to be a real issue because you can't trace something like that. So he was initially charged with those sort of offences. Then on Monday night, they added the murder charge. What will now happen is that he will likely be transferred to New York City, where he will be prosecuted. Whether he contests the extradition, we'll see how quickly that happens. But if he waives that right, he'll be extradited in the next couple of days, and that's when the legal proceedings in New York will begin.
And there's no question here as to whether or not the police have got their man. They're pretty confident that this is the person who shot the CEO Brian Thompson.
They seem fairly confident, yes. They do actually have some evidence to go on, and we haven't quite heard the bottom of all of that. But for instance, they captured him drinking from a bottle of water that he bought in Starbucks, and they have the DNA of that. So they will piece all of that together. They will confirm all of that. This chap, he did not have a criminal record, which made it slightly harder because they obviously immediately ran fingerprint DNA databases and he wasn't on them. He didn't jump out at them. But they do have that, and now they will set about trying to confirm that and essentially copper bottom their case against him.
And there is some suggestion that he may have been inspired somewhat by Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber.
That's right. Yes. So he did apparently leave behind an online manifesto in which he talked about the healthcare industry, the insurance industry. He also wrote on Goodreads, the book recommendation site, a review of the Unabomber's manifesto, and said that although people dismissed it, it actually contained some very good ideas. I mean, it's remarkable that this keeps on coming back as a sort of a blueprint for these mentally disturbed young people, but certainly he does appear to have been influenced by that. So that is something that the prosecution will be looking at very carefully.
There's been a lot of debate and discussion online about Luigi and his motives and why he did this, and for some people, whether or not he was justified.
Right, and actually that led the governor of Pennsylvania on Monday afternoon to declare this person is not a hero. The healthcare industry in the United States is incredibly controversial. If you recall that there was some words found on the bullets. The words deny, depose, delay. These are words, of course, that are all related to the insurance industry. So some people online were hailing Luigi as a hero, and the Pennsylvania governor said that was absolutely not the case. That is not how we resolve things. But it really has sparked a debate in the United States. I think it's brought to the fore some of the anger that many people feel about the healthcare insurance companies. It's a huge issue in this country. It's something that everybody talks about all the time. So it's really led to a lot of online commentary, some of which has been pretty distressing for the family of Brian Thompson.